All right, from one game to another, we're heading West Coast on our next game here. And we're in the snow. Been waiting all year to find a time to bust this out. And this feels as good a time as any. Boise State, TCU, in a top 15 matchup, number 7, Boise State, hosting the number 11, TCU Horned Frogs. Of course, the Boise State, or the curse of the number 7, has been ever present. However, Penn State was the last number 7 on Penn State was number 7 on stream, and they managed to get through it. Can Boise here? We had a legendary matchup between these two teams last season, which set up Boise State's national championship appearance. Can the same happen here? TCU has the ball first. TCU, of course, had Avery McKay last season. A lot of new players for both of these teams. We're going to hand it off again to the back. Oh, he's got a big run. Cold day in Denver. I'm sure it's a cold day in Denver, but I'm sure it's a cold day in Denver, but it's not in. But we're not in Denver. We're in Boise. We might be heading to Denver at the end of this season. TCU going to throw short, out of bounds. And TCU, Avery McKay is out. Nick Davis, the junior, is in behind center. Davis looking, gonna shoot it up there. It's picked off. Are you kidding me? He's on a one-handed interception. Now, I don't want to review this. I just want to see this again. Steps back. Rolling. The leap. He gets both feet. He gets one foot down, but he gets the other. What a grab. Stretches over his own man. He's got the ball. That's a pick. And on 1st and 10, it's Boise's turn now. As that's a first down. Boise State lost a lot of starters to the draft last season. Chief among them, quarterback Cameron Yates. In his stead, the Broncos put out Brian Nelson, a sophomore.
We've got a 1st and 10, ball on the 36-yard line. And he carries the ball for a nice gain.
Here's 2nd and 3. The pitch. Jabari Johnson is still on this Boise State team.
Around the 42-yard line.
Johnson, of course, a national champion.
From the 42-yard line.
He's a junior this season. He still has his 2024 season ahead of him. And he is one of the best running backs in the nation. It's a handoff. 3-yard gain. Of course, part of a long lineage of good Bronco running backs. Boys in the pro combat alternates tonight. in what might be the final matchup between these two in or what is the final matchup between these two in conference. What might be the last matchup if they'll have for a while. As TCU announced last week their move to the Pac-12 next season. As there's a run up the gut.
And they make the stop at the 23.
Maybe after a nice run like that, you try to go up in the air for the play action pass.
Here's the 8th play of the series.
First and 10, gonna shoot it quickly. Oh, he drops it. Can't hold on after contact.
From the 23-yard line. Second down.
As I mentioned earlier, if you remember, one of the all-time classic stream games happened between Boise and TCU last season in Fort Worth.
Tackle right around the 20. This is the 10th play of this drive.
Here's 3rd and 8. If you may, Danny, I'd like to see the situations between these two for the championship game. Oh, but he can't hang on. They're going to go for it. Their first 4th down today at the TCU 20. They're confident. Is it justified? They can't get it.
Lose yards here. Huge play for the defense.
And on the 4th down stop, we'll see TCU back on the field. After an unreal interception gave Boise the ball, they can't find points with it.
I don't think either team has a clear advantage so far. Let's see if they can make some plays and get a little separation. Run left
Gonna
side.
try and scramble with it. That's gonna be a loss.
The halfback just couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Loss of 1.
We still have yet to see the Mountain West make a counter move.
He's on the run. And he
Gonna run with it, and it's gonna be a loss of 4.
Third and 15 coming up. Ball on
Upcoming
their own
is
16.
3rd and 15.
Setting up
Gonna
blockers.
throw the screen. He's got blockers, and there's a first down.
32.
That screenplay was well executed. I'm not sure the defense was looking for it, and they weren't in great position to make a play until the first down was already picked up.
From their own 32-yard line. First down.
Handed off to the back once again, barreling his way.
Up the middle.
Pardon me, for a 7-yard gain. A keeper, he's got a first down.
Around the 48-yard line. So he keeps it and he gets up.
As we look at Boise State's future competition, they're staying put. Air Force, Colorado State,
For a big game.
New Mexico, UNLV, Utah State, and Wyoming are all staying in the Mountain West
Quick pass.
for the 2024 season. They're adding, as we know right now, Nevada, Fresno State, and Eastern Washington. There's still open room for at least 2 more teams to try and get back to 12. Cullen Payton's on the market after they announced a leave of the WAC. There's a big first down.
13.
27-yard reception. Cullen Payton's on the market. San Jose State announced that they would be interested if the WAC ever gave them an invite. Of course, there have been teams that have been pretty dominant out of the WAC, Hawaii, Idaho, New Mexico State, are always in rumblings. As there's the keeper. A 6-yard gain.
So it's second down now, and they need about 4 yards to pick up the first.
Of course, this, as we mentioned, this all came after the blockbuster move of SMU and TCU to get the Pac-12 14 games. Thank you, Danny, there. TCU needs to win to clinch their ticket to the Mountain West championship game. As for Boise, they need to win and beat New Mexico next week to clinch it. They're going to stop him on third down. It'll set up 4th and 10. And after TCU stopped Boise going for it, they're going to get stopped in the red zone, and they'll try a field goal. And he's got it.
Even though they gave up a field goal here, that defense is feeling pretty good about themselves right now. It could have just as easily been a touchdown.
And a little bit colder weather than TCU would be used to. But they get on the board first with a field goal. What a conference the Pac-12 is going to be next season. You're going to get a really good TCU squad, a very good SMU squad out of the Conference USA who will be playing in that conference's championship. With a win here, the Frogs would likely do so as well. And you get teams like San Diego State and Utah State from the Mountain West. That's on top of having Oregon, Stanford, a really good Washington State this season, and USC, who made the national championship last year. As we look at the end of one, 3-0 TCU on top.
And we welcome you back to the action here, and we have got a tight one going on in quarter number 2. Give to the tailback. Tackled after a decent run up the gut. A gain of about
Here's the handoff. Keep an eye on the 2KU headlines chat. We'll be keeping updates throughout the rest of this season and the off season for potential moves. We might be seeing one sooner rather than later.
And he makes it out to about the 41-yard line. From their own 41-yard line. Second down.
Here's 2nd and 8.
Here's a handoff left side. That's a great
Gotta lose a yard.
39.
Third and 9. It's caught, and there's a first down.
Taken down at about the 47-yard line.
And even with all these gains, it's tough to ignore what the Mountain West will be losing out on in 2024. BYU, San Diego State, TCU, Utah, all on their way out next season. As there's a rocket, but he drops it.
These guys, especially in the secondary, really get after it and can make life hard for the play callers on the other side of the ball.
And this play is number 8 on the drive.
Gonna rocket it again. Incomplete again.
Boy, a goal
Almost intercepted.
opportunity missed by the defense. That was a sure interception, only to be dropped.
Third down now. They need to get it down to the 37. They'll spread the field here. Let's see what the defense does with a 5-wide outlook.
3rd and 10. It's caught. There's the completion you were looking for. A 16-yard reception and a first down, Boise State.
10th play of the drive.
First and 10. They'll hand it off to Johnson. Rumbling for a gain of 5.
From the 26-yard line. Second down.
I would always say it could be worse in terms of realignment.
Throws it in a hurry.
There's a quick throw out
They make the
for the
stop
first.
at the 13-yard line.
Never easy losing a team,
At the 12th play of the drive.
especially one very integral to conference's history.
Fires quick out.
And there's another drop.
Make the grab.
As you mentioned, could be worse. You could be a Conference USA of their 14 current members. That is 7 of them who are leaving. Arkansas, UCF, Cincinnati, USF, Louisville, Houston, and SMU will be calling different places home next season. As there's a touchdown for Boise State. The Broncos take the lead to begin.
And a nice catch by the receiver for the touchdown.
Anytime you're near the red zone, you got to keep an eye for this guy. They love going to him down here.
And he converts the extra
That's
point.
up and good.
13-play, 75-yard drive. And they get it in for 7.
Brad, I thought the offense did a really nice job of mixing up the play calling on that drive. But the defense was on its heels most of the drive because of the versatility of the offense.
He's to the 20. He makes it out to maybe
To the 24, TCU coming back on the field here.
in a game that's this close, you can't afford to waste possessions.
Throwing it short. Oh, he's hit hard after a gain of 1.
Didn't have much of a chance on that play.
Boy, this defense has a lot of speed. They're all over him by the time he caught the ball.
From their own 25-yard line. Second down. Catches it, and he
On the sideline, it'll be pushed out of bounds. 3rd 5 coming up.
now it's going to be 4th down.
Nice defense.
And that'll set up a 4th down.
Good series for these guys.
Good stop for Boise. Can they capitalize on it? Trying to make it a 2-score game with a touchdown.
And this one is a beauty.
It's away. It's the 30. That's the 35
Tackle made
to about the 38.
yard line. There hasn't been too much daylight between these two teams. In games like this, some players try to press too much, and that can cause mistakes. Boise State is up by 4.
On 1st and 10. And he'll just get rid of it.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Ball on the 38-yard line.
Second and 10. He'll throw it short.
To catch it, he's got nowhere to go.
Johnson will lose a yard. We may see a shift in the conference championship game sites in the future. The WAC will be playing theirs in.
Goes in the middle.
The WAC is playing their conference championship this season in Las Vegas. They'll likely move it next year.
Kind of solid, consistent play you look for in your defense.
And with that vacancy, the Mountain West may look at Vegas as a future option for their conference championship site. As Denver punts it here.
He's tackled at the 20-yard line. Right now, this game's
There's the incredible interception we saw earlier.
Second half, probably into the fourth quarter. You almost have a feel that maybe one of the defenses may have to score a touchdown to be able to win this game.
I could see Phoenix as a future site for the WAC championship.
So little separation. This game can be drastically changed on just 1 or 2 plays.
1st and 10, lobbing up, finds a man open for the first down, all the way to the 46-yard line. 44-yard line.
First and 10. Ball on the 44.
Surveying, he'll leave it up and get rid of it.
You know, when you feel pressure like that,
Now there's, as I mentioned, there are rumors that the Mountain West would look to the WAC to expand, namely with teams like San Jose State or Colin Payton. If a San Jose State leaves the current future lineup, there's a good run by the quarterback. If San Jose State leaves, that would leave the WAC with 11, and they would need to look elsewhere. They could potentially look at the Sun Belt again, though there aren't really many teams in their domain. It would have to be a bit of a stretch with a team like maybe a Jacksonville State or a Louisiana. They could reach into the Southland again with Abilene or Incarnate Word, even though they had just backed out. West Texas may or may not be an option for the future. They played the Missouri Valley for the longest time, but they moved to the Southland in 2022. As they'll let the clock run here on 4th and 2, they'll hand it off, and he got the 4th down conversion. Now the American is not in their reach either, but potentially they could be looking. They could be looking at the future American team in UTRGV. They might try to poach the Vaqueros next season. Or they might poach the Vaqueros in the future. UTRGV plays their first FBS season next year. Here's a lob, finds it open, but he drops it. This will be 3rd and 6. And there's always the Missouri Valley they could look to. There might be interest in a Southern Utah or Utah Tech. Southern Utah, a full FBS member, could be on their radar. As there's a first down catch. Both Utah schools are in their first years as Missouri Valley members.
And this is the 9th play of the current drive.
This is 1st and 10. Finds a man over the middle. Gotta be short of the end zone, but it's 1st and goal. 9 seconds to go. TCU can take the lead before half. Are they gonna let the clock? They let the clock run. They didn't know how much time was left, and that will end it 7-3 to end the first half. We were just talking about conference realignment. How about the games this week? We had some interesting scores. Looking at the scores as a whole, on Wednesday, Discord exclusive game, we saw Eastern Michigan lock themselves into a spot in Detroit to try and win their first conference championship since 1999. Southern Illinois clinched their division in the Missouri Valley East with their win and losses by Chicago. Chicago and Western Illinois.
When you're losing the battle in the trenches, you got to find some way to kind of even it out. Maybe get a little bit more options, some
On Saturday, Mississippi State, ranked number 25, beat Georgia, number 18 in the country, 35-34. Going down East Tennessee of the FCS, upsetting Tennessee 31-23 in Knoxville. Pitt, number 19 in the country, beat Temple 27-13. And with West Virginia's win on the road against Rutgers, that sets up the backyard brawl on Black Friday to decide the Big East championship berth. Oh, look at this! Big return to the 40-yard line. There's a flag, though. Flag for clipping. That sucks out the fun. Duke beat North Carolina to win the victory, though. Another victory bell rivalry. USC beating UCLA. UCF beats SMU 28-10 to remain unbeaten. We'll be seeing those two match up again later. Florida State only gets 2 field goals in a 24-6 loss to Dave's show this week. There's a deep bomb, incomplete. 3rd and 10 coming up. Michigan getting the win over Indiana, 30-10. Vanderbilt continuing their upset streak with a 23-16 win over Auburn. As this ball's thrown as he's hit, incomplete. Florida wins against LSU 38-28. We saw the Clemson Virginia Tech game earlier. Oklahoma State getting a comfortable win over Texas Tech, officially punching their ticket to Arlington for the conference championship game. Baylor beats Colorado 58-6. But the late games are where we get some of our biggest excitements. Starting with 40-23, number 10 Utah getting win over San Diego State. A close game with Oregon, number 3 in the country, slipping past Arizona State. A 7 overtime game as Arizona and Washington, the Huskies, winning that one. And in a ranked match between number 22 Washington State and Stanford, we accidentally broke a record. The longest game in 2KU history was played on that Saturday night late game slot. 48-40 in, count 'em, 9 overtimes.
We've got a 1st and 10, ball on the 19-yard line.
As here's a quarterback keeper up the gut. He's just short of the end zone. Another thing that clinched today with a 42-34 win over Cornell, the Columbia Lions have repeated as Ivy League champions as a run over the left side, touchdown TCU. The Horned Frogs take the lead back.
This is what an offensive lineman hopes for. An opportunity to impose his will on the defense.
So the kicker will line up here and try to give his team a 3-point lead with this extra point.
It's the big win.
He makes the PAT.
The Columbia Lions make it back-to-back.
TCU ready to kick this one off. He sends this one deep.
Keep in mind, they hadn't won the conference since 1992 last season, and now they've won it back-to-back years.
To play extremely tough defense. This has been impressive.
It's just been impressive to watch them play with such an attitude, almost a chip on their shoulder with the energy that they're playing.
Looking at the all-time records, Harvard still has the most conference titles at 27, followed by Yale's 20, and Princeton's 11, Columbia's 4th with 9.
And he's tackled around the 24-yard line.
We'll give the defense all the credit here. They had that one snuffed start. It could have been an even bigger loss.
Longest drought. Of course, all 8 teams have won the Ivy League before. The team who's won it the least is Brown, who only has 2 conference titles, their last coming in 1991. Well, there's a leaping catch, but he can't make it. Brown won it twice in 1955 and in 1991. Oh, there's the catch. That is Javari Johnson with a first down. Appalachian State of the SoCon clinches a spot in the conference championship game with their win over Georgia Southern this week. I'm sure that's some solace for Pig Bear this week after Clemson's game. Old Dominion clinches as well. So we know the SoCon championship in Nashville, Old Dominion, and Appalachian State. Old Dominion getting the win over the Citadel. Their one loss came last week to William & Mary. They clinch with a loss by the Tribe to Washington and Lee. On 3rd and 3, they can't get it. And 4th and 2, they won't go at this time. They're going to punt. Oh, here's a... Oh, they're going to fake it. Over the middle, dropped. Tried to gamble, didn't get it. And how about this result out of the Southland Conference? In double overtime, Sam Houston losing to Hardin Simmons. And as such, after starting the season winning 9 straight games, they've lost back-to-back. And now they don't hold their own fate. They don't hold their fate in their own hands. The Bearcats are 9-2. They're 5-2 in conference. They need Abilene Christian to lose next week to Incarnate Word. Hardin Simmons playing spoiler. We actually have a pretty interesting race in the Southland East. Oh, they're going to go for it on 4th and 2. We'll talk about the Southland East race in a moment. Going for it on 4th and 2. No doubt about it. They got it.
They showed on that run, knowing where the marker was, making sure no matter what that they'd get the ball there for the
Stephen F. Austin has won 4 straight after starting the season 4-3. They play Sam Houston next week. There's a bomb on the sideline, and there's a first down. SFA sits on top of the division, 8-3. They're 6-1 overall. Southeastern Louisiana has been a thorn in their side all year, though. They're in 2nd. Sela could clinch with a win and a Sam Hugh loss. There's another near first down. It's going to be 2nd and inches for TCU.
Doesn't seem to have an answer right now. They might need to change up some of their scheme.
1st and goal from the 3. They're knocking on the door. TCU.
We check the Sun Belt. FAU clinched a few weeks ago. Troy clinching this week. The quarterback keeper, touchdown TCU. I'm more surprised that it was Troy.
Nice run there by that quarterback.
Well, great decision by the quarterback, reading the defense, and as soon as he
But
saw
they
the
will
opening,
get
cut it
the
upfield.
Detroit Trojans will play in the conference championship in spite of only sitting at 6-5. They play South Alabama this week.
And he hits the PAT. An 8-play
And this is in spite of having 3 8-3 teams in the division.
looks like they're ready for the kick.
Actually, no, they haven't clinched. Never mind, they did.
He'll take it from the 2. He makes it to the 25-yard line.
Well, this is a
Troy's gone 6-1 in conference play.
one team has gained the
They didn't win a single non-conference game.
fighting back, and it's going
Their only conference loss was this week to FAU.
There's got to be some sense of urgency to this offense right now. They don't have the luxury of wasting drives if they want to get back in the game.
On 1st and 10, he shuffles and he just gets rid of it. So it'll be FAU, Troy, and New Orleans.
Second down.
Second and 10. What a catch! Unbelievable.
On the pass play.
They look to be in sync right now. They're both reading the defense.
He leaps for it.
The result is an
Keeps his feet in bounds. And this is why they're the reigning national champs, folks. They can pull off stuff like that.
Tackle after a decent run up the gut.
Boise State, their one loss in conference, their one loss overall was earlier this year to BYU.
Play action.
On 2nd and 3, he's going to heave it.
It's broken up.
Swatted down.
It's not over yet, folks. We head to the 4th quarter. The Horned Frogs with a 10-point lead.
All right, we thought for sure that Auburn was going to clinch it this week, but they couldn't because of a loss to Vanderbilt.
Welcome back to the action here as we resume play here.
Now we sit at a very weird impasse in the SEC West while we have the chance. There's a handoff to Johnson for a first down and more.
And they make the stop at the 39.
They're down. They're still down by 10. But thanks to Mississippi State's win against Georgia, Auburn's loss to Vanderbilt, Alabama's win over Kentucky, and Tulane's win over Ole Miss, the top 4 teams are still 5-2.
He's gobbled up in the backfield.
Alabama can still win the division, but they can't play in the SEC championship. And they would win the division with the win over Auburn. Mississippi State plays Ole Miss next week. Now, Auburn wins, they're in.
Quick throw. He gets hit out of bounds. Right around.
Alabama wins, they get the title, and whoever's second to them is in. If Mississippi State and Tulane both win, it would be Mississippi State who goes to the conference championship game.
on 3rd down. You work so hard as a defense.
If Mississippi State loses and Tulane wins, then the Tulane Green Wave would make it.
Step up and make a big play, whether it's a defensive tackle slipping through a
As there's a throw over the middle with blockers inside the 10.
secondary that's able to make a play on a football. Somebody's got to make a play, and that's where the difference between winning a football game and losing is how you play on 3rd down.
It's already cut clear on the other side of the conference as Florida's locked it. How about Vanderbilt? They could make a bowl with a win against Tennessee this week. Or next week, rather.
With the safeties coming up making plays near the line of scrimmage, that tells your offense they've got to start throwing the ball to keep them honest.
Here's the 11th play of the drive.
We're going to have the Independence for bowl eligibility. Army is in. Colgate is in now. As there's a touchdown, Boise.
He stepped up and threw a touchdown pass to his wideout.
Good job of protection, and the quarterback.
And they can get within 3 with the PAT.
Here's the extra point.
There's not a lot of time left. You got to hope your defense can make a good stop.
And he converts the extra point. It was an 11-play, 76.
But as we look at the MAC, Eastern Michigan's already in.
Really nice job of mixing up the play calling on that drive. I thought the defense was on its heels most of the drive because of the versatility of the offense.
Eagles have clinched it. Oh my goodness! Hurdles over a man to get to the 32-yard line. Currently on top of the MAC East is Kent State in a pseudo tie with Akron. And as such, Kent State and Akron, KSU lost to Marshall this week. Miami, Ohio is falling back. There's a big play. Gonna go 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, TCU. As I was preoccupied, they just make a gash in the Boise defense.
Once he gets those jets on, there wasn't going to be anything that could stop him. He splits the uprights with the extra point.
As I was saying, Kent State with their loss to Marshall this week heads to Akron to decide the conference, or decide who plays in conference championship game. Miami's lost 3 straight and have effectively eliminated themselves. Buffalo's lost 2 of 3.
The offense now will take the field, and they hope to have the same success they had on their last drive.
As both the Buffs and the Redhawks have bowed out of the race.
Quick release, tight end, incomplete.
It now comes down to the wagon wheel between Kent State and Akron this upcoming weekend.
He goes out of bounds around the 28-yard line.
The WAC is coming down to the final game as well. There's a sack on the play. It's going to be 4th and 14 with 3:55 to go. This is going to be interesting. Because Fresno State makes it to the WAC championship with a win. However, San Jose State's fate is not in their own hands.
And he's tackled at the 49-yard line.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it froze for a second. San Jose State needs to win, and they're going to need help from Pacific to keep Hawaii out. A Pacific team. Oh, there's a big quarterback run.
Tackle made around the 32-yard line.
A Pacific team with the win over Fresno State, who have just clinched their first bowl berth. Who just ended a long bowlless skid.
From the 32-yard line. First down.
And could make it a 7th win against Hawaii. Oh my goodness.
And down he goes at the 29-yard line.
Some bad laggage for my desktop.
Less than 3 minutes in the game.
Hand it off to the back.
Run, and he's brought down.
Not going to get the first. It'll be 3rd and 2.
It's 3rd down, and they're about 2 yards shy of the sticks.
Snapping on 3rd and 2.
On the ground, and he won't get back to the line.
And Boise calling a timeout. It's going to be 4th and 3. They're going to try a field goal.
So the kicker comes out. He'll try to put
Kicks away. And he got it.
TCU's got one of the best quarterbacks in the business. He played like one on that last drive.
Well, that drive was huge to set up that game-winning field goal. The quarterback at times just looked so relaxed back there, like he was just playing a video game, just making good decisions and moving the ball right down the field for that game-winning kick.
And it looks like they're ready for the kickoff. And it goes into the end zone, down for a touchback. The last time this offense had the ball, it was 3 and out.
Boise now playing with some urgency. Looking, he'll fire, finds a man open with room to run. Oh, he gets hit hard, but it's a first down.
Seem to be having any trouble with his own, does he?
He recognized the receiver was behind the coverage, and he found him with a perfect strike. That's nice passing for a first down.
First and 10. Lobbing it up. 7-yard gain. Steps out of bounds.
They need about 3 yards to get the first here on second down. Just under 2 to go in the game.
He's got to hurry. Pressure's coming. He'll throw it short. Got a first down.
31. Good hook up there. They get
To about the 30.
the first down.
And still,
Of course, it's a little hard to see.
hasn't missed a receiver yet on this drive.
Gonna need, might need some help to keep alive in this game. He's gonna get rid of it. It's caught! Touchdown! I thought he was just throwing to get rid of it. But it's in the end zone.
1 score difference now after that big touchdown.
And pardon me, they can get within 6 with the PAT.
And he tacks on the extra point.
I might give him the ball and see what happens.
Drive. And a touchdown to result.
Boy, that is scoring in a hurry. This offense is looking more and more explosive.
So the score now, 27-21.
I don't need to. They get it themselves.
Man, I can barely catch my
Onside kick is good.
stop.
They heard what I said and how mad I got in the Clemson game, and they're like, we'll do it ourselves. But can they capitalize on it? There's 1:23 to go. They have 2 timeouts. They're down 6.
Offense or the defense. We're about to find out who's going to win it in this drive.
Do we have one more classic in this rivalry? Throws it short.
And he's tackled.
An 8-yard reception to the 50.
So it's second down and about 2 yards to go.
They're in an interesting part. You want to have enough time to run a play, but you don't want to give your opponent too much time. Gonna throw it. Finds a man open. Steps out of bounds. 14-yard gain.
The 37-yard line.
There's less than a minute to go. Can we see some magic on the Smurf turf?
We have less than a minute to go.
First and 10. Finds a man open.
A huge drop.
Dropped it.
Down here in the fourth quarter.
Ooh. Can't hang on.
From the 37-yard line. It's second down.
Of course, brutal conditions out here.
5 wide receiver.
They're going 5 wide. Gonna throw it short. They'll call their first timeout on 3rd and 3.
They come out and
You don't need a lot. But the pressure's on here. Can you become a campus hero? Heaving it to the end zone. Incomplete. Nearly intercepted.
did a super job there to keep it this close in this ball game. And now the offense.
And on 4th and 3, they haven't converted 4th and 2.
It's fourth
They've
down.
tried twice
Getting set to go for it.
to convert on 4th down. They need it here. Throwing it short. He's got to the line.
Around the 25-yard line.
There are 36 seconds to go. Excellent job getting settled quickly. Gonna throw it short left side. 2nd and 5. They're gonna spike it
And he stops the clock with
on 2nd, now 3rd and 5. 21 seconds to go. They have 1 timeout. A touchdown will win the game. 3rd and 5. Got the first. Steps out of bounds. There's 18 seconds now to go.
From the 14-yard line. First down.
Once again, very close on offense. Gonna pause it. Don't need to.
Throws complete. He stopped immediately.
They'll spike it again with 6 seconds to go. They need to operate quickly.
About 2 yards to go.
3rd and 2 with 5 seconds to go. You have 1, maybe 2 plays left in you. Ball game on the line. Looking.
Throws it out and it falls
Out of bounds. There will be a second to go. It comes down to this. Is the curse alive? Looking. He's a yard short. TCU is going to Denver on a goal line stand.
27-21. Horn Frog. As we finish up the
The Horned Frogs
how this game turned out, Kurt.
You wouldn't figure either team would
on the line.
right down to the very end. This was a really exciting matchup. TCU was not going to win this game easily.
It came down to the last yard.
Proud to come out on top. Both teams should be proud of their effort.
TCU will be going to the Mountain West Championship one last time. But now Boise's fate is out of their hands.
Thanks for joining us.
TCU clinches with the win.
Football 14. For Kurt and everyone here at EA Sports, Brad Nessler saying goodbye.
They'll be heading to the Mountain West Championship in what would be their 6th and final. They're trying to leave on a record. They haven't played in the Mountain West Championship since 2020. They lost to Boise State. Their last Mountain West Championship they won was in 2017 against Boise State. As now we'll look at the Mountain West. The Mountain West Boise State now down to 5. Looking at conference play, Boise State now down to 5-2. TCU 6-2. They played their final conference game this week. They'll be heading back home to Fort Worth to play Baylor. And what's sure to be an exciting matchup. TCU now 6-2. Utah currently sits as the number 1 at 6-1. They're not out of it, though. Or Boise's not out of it. But it's now out of their reach. They're going to need help. Utah needs to lose to BYU in the final Holy War, at least in conference. They need to lose that game. And Utah State plays Air Force. They're going to need a Herculean effort from the Falcons in Logan in order to make it back to the Mountain West Championship. Boise State's next and final game on the season will be New Mexico. as it comes down to the wire for a bunch of conferences. Rivalry week will be next. Don't forget to stay tuned on Sunday for the 2KU Weekly Podcast, where we'll not only go over the scores, we'll talk about a bunch of rivalries happening this weekend, as well as the Division III playoffs and the Heisman Trophy finalists. That's going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you all for watching, and so long!